In 1986, a Connecticut wife and mother arrives home from her recent job as a flight attendant, only to quickly disappear from her home without a trace. The mystery would soon be solved when a witness noticed her husband using a woodchipper on the side of a road, blowing into a lake. What was found in this lake made it a mystery no more. I'm Dave Jari.
I'm Garrett Quarter.
And this is Criminal as Fuck. What's good, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Criminal AF. Once again, I am Dave Jari, and with me, as always, is my co-host, Garrett Quarter.
How we doing?
So a quick reminder that you can become one of the debauched by joining our Patreon, where you can support the podcast for as little as $2 a month, or if you choose the $5 tier or above, you'll get all of our content, including scripts of every story, 5-Minute Murder, our Patreon-only bi-weekly podcast, Random AF, and our soon-to-be-released Patreon-only Dreadful AF, our collab with our friends over at Spread the Dread Podcast. Or if you want to become a barista through Buy Me a Coffee, where you can buy us one or more coffees with a one-time donation to help support the podcast, visit criminalafpodcast.com/support or click on the link in the episode description. Now, I just want to say real quick, our last episode, that was...
Yeah, that was rough.
That was rough.
Yeah.
That was very emotionally draining.
Yeah, for sure. It's so funny, too, because we started that day. We were all excited. We're like, let's goof around. We had a couple beers. We were hanging out. And then all of a sudden, we were sitting way halfway through this fucking sucks.
Yeah. Yeah, because the episode before, Love on the Rocks, that was a fun episode.
It's amazing how
to do.
the story content can change the whole demeanor.
Right, and we're
in this room.
And we're like, all right, we're gonna get this done. We're gonna have a couple beers. We're gonna have fun. We're gonna get through this. And midway through, I was drained. I'm like, this is awful, But we got through it.
Also, too, a lot of the fans reached out and told us how much wow, this was powerful. This episode was heart wrenching. So it definitely affected, I think, everybody.
Our Instagram blew up.
If you never heard that story, it'll definitely sink in and stick with you for now.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I just want to say, with our last 4 episodes, hopefully 5 with Love You to Death, each one is getting more and more and more downloads. So,
and we love you for it.
Yes. So I just want to say thank you to everybody out there who's listening. We appreciate it so much, and it's awesome to see what we are doing is reaching so many people.
For sure, you're giving us that spark.
Right. It's actually
to keep going.
It's humbling to know. So, with that being said, for those of you joining us for the first time, this is a true crime podcast. Though we talk of murder, rape, torture, assault, and pretty much any crime that would haunt your nightmares at any given moment. There will be detailed descriptions of said events, and there will be some vulgar language.
Fuck.
We understand that Criminal AF is not for everyone, but we just ask that you at least give it a listen. If it's not for you, hey, thanks for checking it out.
See ya.
But if it is, welcome to the debauchery.
Mail call.
Sweet.
All right, so every week we send out a Ask Us Anything on Instagram for a chance to be answered on an episode. The questions have been piling in, and we have one for this week. It's from Lucy Vicky 13, our friend out in Australia, out in Yass.
Yeah.
And she wants... I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
And she wants to know, who would you rather be cellmates with? The Toolbox Killers or BTK?
Oh.
That's your boy. That's your boy, Rada, with his wife, Rolla Prada. Throwback. Rolla Prada.
Roller Prater. Table for one, please. That sucks. Those are 2 shitty people. Come on. She did that on purpose. She definitely listens to podcasts. I like that, though, because it means she listens. Yep. She knows
we hate them.
Yeah. I mean, you know my answer. I'm going to go with the Toolbox Killers. They probably got better stories anyway, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I could say that. I would actually say the Toolbox Killers as well, because we already know what BTK did.
Yeah, I don't even want to be in the same cell as him.
Right. I mean, it would be easy to fucking murder him.
Yeah, but then, I'm not going to add time for that piece of shit. Let him rot in jail for the rest. You know what I mean?
Right. But I'm going to say Toolbox Killers as well because they have, well, not anymore because they're dead, but they did have a lot of secrets.
Yeah.
Like there was a lot more.
For sure.
That they didn't talk about.
Plus, they seem, they were hippies living out of a van,
right.
and like in California. They probably got some really cool stories.
Yeah,
right? I'm not justifying what they did, but
yeah,
you know what I mean.
Well, I mean, if you remember at the end of the episode that there was like, I can't remember off the top of my head, so don't quote me, but there was like 60 photos out of hundreds, if not thousands of photos that they could not identify.
Yeah. So would you be in there like, hey?
I'm like, yo,
what's up? Let me get like 2 more victims.
Yeah, I would probably like make up some shit that I did. I'd be like, bro,
spark that
this
PTSD.
Is what
Spark that PTSD.
Yeah, I took the screwdriver and just stuck it right in her earlobe.
Oh, he was like, yeah.
He's like, oh, really? Wow. His fucking dick gets hard.
Yeah. Well, you got to think too. If you're in jail, you're a criminal too. You have to you're not. You know what I mean? Yeah. You're not all there in the head too. Especially if you're hanging out in maximum security prison with them. So you probably don't have all the screws loose too.
Well, I got picked up for not paying parking tickets. So.
Yeah, okay, because you're gonna be thrown in a jail cell with the toolbox killers because of. You would be in fucking Gen Pop selling ramen noodles and fucking shower shoes, dude. Now, what would happen, though, if you're lying and you're telling these stories?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're getting them all excited.
And they found out that you lied?
No. And then they go and get, like, a health and wellness check, and then they attack the nurse because you got them all jacked up. Now you got a body on your hand.
Well, did I find out information first, or...?
Yeah, you found it all out.
I mean, that's...
Yeah. He just spilled the beans. Well, you thought it was only these girls? Yeah. Let me tell you, boy.
Here's the other 60. And that's just collateral. It's collateral.
Hey, nurses in prison make a lot of money.
I say I solved 60 murders.
Yeah. You know what I mean? You gave a lot of families clothing.
Yeah. So thank you for your service, Nurse Betty.
All right. On that note.
Oh, sorry. I'm going to hell for that one. So thank you, Lucy, for the question. Yes, $2 killers, 100%. BTK can
From
go
both.
fuck him.
Signed, sealed, delivered.
Yeah, he can go fuck himself, BTK. All right.
Let's go to Florida.
Yeehaw!
All right, Dave, this one's a little different.
Okay.
All right? It's switching it up. And I like this because it's triple entendre.
Triple entendre. Okay.
Yes.
I got you.
So.
I don't know what entendre is, but I'm with you. I'm with you.
All right. Florida Sponge docks coffee shop. We Spy Coffee and More. Employee arrested over spying in men's bathroom. There's 2 right there.
Okay,
There's 1, sorry.
Spying in a Spy Coffee shop.
We Spy Coffee
We
and
Spy
More.
Coffee, yeah.
That's the name of the coffee shop.
Yeah. Oh, and more.
Yep.
Okay.
And then the second part is
the employee was spying
on men in the bathroom.
Okay.
Heron Springs, Florida.
Spy. Yep.
Spy. An employee of We Spy Coffee and More, located on the gorgeous Tampering.
Well, they're not hiding anything. They say and more. So.
Yeah. Located on the gorgeous Tarpon Springs Sponge docks, has been arrested after a camera was found in the men's bathroom. On Saturday, officers from Tarpon Springs Police Department arrested, here's the third, Spyridon vulgaricus.
Spyridon, okay. Spy.
Spyridon.
Yep, I got it now.
Spy.
I'm following. So, 3 spies.
Spyridon vulgaricus.
So, Spy, Coffee, and More.
31 on charges of battery and video voyeurism.
30.
He was 31.
Oh, he was 31. Okay. I got you.
The victim was a customer of We Spy Coffee and More, located on 505 Dolcanis Boulevard. While using the male restroom at the business, the victim discovered he was being video recorded by a camera placed under the sink. The victim confronted vulgaricus.
Under a sink? Where was it pointing?
Probably the stall. Probably stalls.
The stall.
Or the
urinal or the toilet?
The urinals, probably. I don't know. It depends on the layout. I've been in a lot of different. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Think about all the different bathroom. Because
Yeah.
if the stall, think about it, right? If the urinals were next to the sink, and you put it there sideways. You know what I'm saying?
And your shit's hanging out?
Yeah. You can see you can see down the line. You can get a whole lineup.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I got you.
Glorious cock.
Yeah.
All right.
That's such a glorious cock. Spyridon.
That's such a weird name.
The Spy.
Vulgarcus.
Spyridon the Spy who works at the Spy Coffee Shop. Spying on.
There it is. There's the triple entendre.
Spying on fellow spies going to the bathroom.
Yes. Admitted to the investigators that he placed the camera there and recorded the victims and other males using the restrooms. And then my favorite, the ending of this article.
Oh, here we
if
go.
you've been to We Spy Coffee and more since February 13th, 2023, and used the male restroom and feel you may have been a victim, please contact Detective J. Melton at 727-938-2849. All victims' identities will be kept confidential in avoidance with Marcelly law.
Unless there's a spy.
Unless there's a spy
who
leaks
the
information about Spyden, who spied
on the spies
who
were drinking
coffee at We Spy
Coffee Shop.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Only in Florida, folks. Only in Florida. That is a true. We're not making that up at all. Go look it up. Go do your research, guys. That is
as always.
That is a true story.
As always, the photo will be. Is there a photo?
Nope, I don't have it here, but there probably will be.
All right.
If I deep dive.
Yeah, we'll find one and put it on IG. Jesus, criminy.
Oh, got it.
Oh, you got it?
2 seconds, yeah.
Okay.
Yep, we're good. We got a photo too.
Hold on, let me look.
It looks like a normal dude.
Oh, he looks kind of spyish.
Yeah, that name is not what I...
He has like a spy-ish name.
Vulgarcus.
Yeah.
He's definitely
He must be Greek.
Yeah, I was going to say European somewhere.
Yeah. You know what they say about the Greeks?
A lot of male orgies.
I have no idea.
A lot of male orgies.
They're like,
back in the day?
They like canola oil? I don't know.
They bathe in it, dude.
Yeah.
That's what their skin likes.
Oh, so. Oh, no, that's Italian.
Wait,
that's Italian.
you just got some opera in you right there. Oh, Maria.
Stop, that's my favorite song.
Now I'm picturing you bathing yourself in olive oil while you're singing Ave Maria. Oh, wait, didn't you say you cried during that on this podcast?
Throwback,
oh,
yes.
Oh, God. Dude, everybody that's listening to this shit, make fun of him, please.
Why?
Sometimes when I listen to Ave Maria, I cry.
That's going to be my funeral song. And you know what? Everybody's going to cry.
I promise you.
You're not going to cry at my funeral?
I'm not going to cry at your funeral. I'm going to make it the best.
You're heartless.
I'm not gonna cry at your funeral. Why would you want to make it sad?
All you motherfuckers better be crying.
I told you what like a funeral is supposed to be a celebration of life. That's why I like super religious funerals scare the shit out of me because it's always so sad. Like I get you're supposed to like mourn and all that stuff, but why is everybody wearing black? Why is it a 2-hour ceremony where there's a wizard talking about life and death and like all this stuff in this mellow tone thing? Dude, I want a DJ booth a foam party. I want jet skis on the lake. Yeah. All right, and I want to be propped up on the top of a wakeboard boat. While you guys are,
that's all great.
You know what I mean? There's no dark colors allowed at my funeral. Yeah. Everybody's wearing Hawaiian shirts.
My funeral is not going to be like the whole everybody sit down and listen to somebody talk about fucking
God's wrath,
ashes to ashes, shit. No, but at some point during the fucking funeral or whatever it is, you motherfuckers better at least cry for at least a minute.
You're so petty.
No,
you're so petty.
I will come back to fucking life to make sure all you guys are fucking crying.
I hope you come and haunt me.
I will.
I'd set up a nice room up in the attic for you, dude.
I'd be like, Garrett, you
I
didn't
would know
fucking
it's
cry.
you too. I know. I feel safe. I'd feel safe. You didn't cry.
I'm gonna spy while you take a piss.
You got nothing to, it's not impressive. You're better off going to We Spy Coffee. You catch something nicer over there.
You're a grower, not a shower?
I'm definitely a grower.
Yeah, I hear you. I'm with you. All right, this is going way off. Criminal AF will be back after this quick break. All right, so this episode from our home state here in Connecticut.
It's good old-fashioned CT.
And I will do I'm going to do a little spoiler alert. This episode not only was a scene in the movie Fargo, but it was also episode 1 of season 1 of Forensic Files.
Correct.
This kicked off the whole Forensic Files.
Shout out to CT.
Yeah, it's good stuff. All right, so we'll get right into it with chapter 1. Oh, Connecticut, how sleepy of a place you are. Connecticut exudes perceptions of a preppy, white-collar state with expensive boats and yachts littering its seashore, where the only problem is matching your Sperry's to your sailing jacket. Yet, just like any other state, or any other place in this world for that matter, there are the secrets and hidden lives that people may lead. Don't forget, Connecticut is the home to such murderous names as Michael Ross, Emmanuel Webb, William Howell, Stephen Hayes, and Joshua Komisarjevsky. The case we will discuss today, which we will call Bodychipper, comes from our home state of Connecticut. This case inspired the movie Fargo and one of the most notorious and memorable scenes from any thriller made in the last 30 years. To set the scene, the main character hired a hitman to kidnap and murder his wife so he could collect the ransom money. To dispose of her body, the hitman used a woodchipper to shred her up into millions of pieces in a pile of mush. Fargo takes place in Minnesota. During the winter, snow covered the ground. The pure white snow is painted red with the woman's diced up body. The main investigator just happens onto the scene as it's taking place. She was shocked and in disbelief, but she ended up getting the bad guy. It was horrifying, yet you couldn't take your eyes away from it. The actual events of this murder that happened in not-so-sleepy Connecticut are a bit different, but still interesting enough that Forensic Files made this case its first episode ever. Season 1, Episode 1, the story of Helle Crafts and her husband Richard Crafts. Richard killed his wife and disposed of her body by running it through a wood chipper. He wasn't caught red-handed like his movie counterpart, but the story is still just as gruesome. This case truly deserved the honor of being the very first episode of Forensic Files, as the evidence that was found had to literally be examined under a microscope. There was no body in the practical sense of a murder, but fragments of a body, such as 3 ounces of human tissue, the crown of a single broken tooth, a fragment of a fingernail covered in pink nail polish, and 2,660 bleached blonde human hairs. They also found a chainsaw and Lake Zor covered in hair and blood which matched Helle's DNA. Don't underestimate sleepy states, or sleepy towns, or even sleepy people. You never know what secrets may be held. You may never know anyone fully. This story revolves around a woman named Helle Crafts. She was born Helle Lork Nielsen on July 7, 1947, in Charlottenlund, Denmark. She was the only child and was described as vibrant, outgoing, who enjoyed school. She had a happy disposition and made friends easily. Helle attended college in England and worked as an au pair in France. While she was living there, she got a job working as a stewardess for Capital Airways. She loved the job so much that when she saw that there was an opening for a stewardess position for Pan Am in Copenhagen, she went for it. Helle, with her bright personality and professional demeanor, stood out to the people at Pan Am. She was one of 8 candidates selected out of a group of 200, and she was sent to Miami to train. It was easy for her to finish the course because of her prior experience, and while in Miami, Helle stayed at a motel near the airport that other airline employees would often stay. She was under the same roof with male and female coworkers, and often had romantic liaisons with male pilots. The environment was like a college dorm. Parties and socializing with others in the airline business. Everyone knew everyone. This motel is where she met her future husband and pilot, Richard Crafts, on May 24, 1969, while Helle was waiting for a flight. Richard Crafts was born in New York City on December 20th, 1937. He had 2 older sisters. His father, John Crafts, was a very successful businessman in Manhattan. John, like any other businessman in New York, wanted to live in the suburbs and moved the family to Darien, Connecticut. Darien is a very affluent town, one of the richest towns in the state. John Crafts was a former World War I pilot, and Richard wanted to live up to his father's standards. He attended private school, but wasn't successful. He did attend college for a few years, but dropped out to join the Marines. He became a helicopter pilot while in the Marines in the 1950s. He served in Korea and Japan, and while there, flew a few planes for Air America, which was a recognized branch of the CIA. He did have a few missions with Air America, and was even wounded while flying a mission over Laos. He did play up his involvement with the CIA, but nothing can be confirmed nor denied because of how secretive the CIA is. He eventually made his way back to America in 1966. When Helle and Richard met in 1969, Richard was already engaged to another woman. Helle didn't mind that though. They continued their relationship, even though Richard kept on seeing other women. Helle didn't mind that she was the other woman, but was upset when Richard continued his cheating ways while with her. This caused many fights, even some in public. Helle's friends did not like Richard for this reason, and were always suspicious of him. To top it off, he was very quick to anger. Helle and Richard married in New Hampshire in November of 1975, after Helle became pregnant. They moved to Newtown, Connecticut in 1976. There they had 3 children in total over the next few years. She returned to her job as a stewardess and hired 19-year-old Dawn Marie Thomas as an au pair, so going back to work wouldn't be an issue. Between the 2 of them, Richard and Helle made over $125,000 a year, so they were doing very well. Richard spent a lot of his income on his hobby of collecting guns. He had all sorts in his collection, including shotguns, handguns, high-powered rifles, semi-automatic weapons, crossbows, hand grenades, and thousands of rounds of ammunition. Helle wasn't too happy about him having so many guns, and how he would often disappear for days going to gun shows. He also spent a lot of money on landscaping equipment. He spent it on tractors, mowers, and a very expensive backhoe, but they were never used. They just sat in the front yard collecting rust. The neighbors would complain about the eyesore of this collection of broken machinery. Now, in a town like Newtown, neighbors don't like eyesores. Despite his full-time commitment at Eastern Airlines and all of the work he was doing on the house, he became an auxiliary police officer in Newtown. He was not paid for this position, but it was something he took pride in. He would hang out at the police station, even while off duty, and respond to calls without authorization. He later became a police officer for Southbury, Connecticut. He paid his own way for training, and even bought an old Crown Victoria, and installed radios, antennas, police lights, and a siren with his own money. He would also take small security jobs. People were confused why this successful airline pilot would want or need to work at such low-paying jobs. During all of this time, Richard was still seeing women on the side. Helle tolerated it for the children, but became fed up with it in 1986. She retained a divorce attorney and hired a private investigator named Keith Mayo to gather information on Richard for the divorce. On November 18th, 1986, Helle's friends dropped her off at her home in Newtown after she had a long flight from Frankfurt, West Germany. And she was never seen again. So I know we shit on Florida every episode, because, there's just Florida. But can any other state in the United States say that they were the very first episode of Forensic Files? fucking represent Connecticut, man.
Yeah. For sure. On top of that, too, is like, I mean, we probably have the worst school shooting in American history.
From the same town.
What the fuck's going on in that drinking water out in Newtown? I don't
fucking know.
Dude. I don't know.
It's fucking crazy.
So, for sure. You know what I mean? We are, like, I love how, sleepy town, sleepy people, you can't count them out.
Gotta watch out for them.
And I love how Richard moves to Newtown. And if any, to all our listeners, we're from CT, so we know Newtown is like nose up.
Yeah,
the snootiest people in the world. That's the Connecticut.
We're on the eastern part of Connecticut.
Yeah,
we're like towards the Rhode Island border. We're considered like the rednecks of Connecticut.
Ring a ding 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 ding.
Yeah. So when you go to like more central western Connecticut,
45 minutes out from New York City. That's how we determine
the snootiness.
Yes. If you can drive to New York City within 45 minutes, that's the Connecticut that everybody thinks of when you think Connecticut.
Right.
There's a majority of that state is not that nice. But the fact that Richard, moves to Newtown and becomes the hick is hilarious.
Yeah. Let me just buy this tractor.
I'm going to buy 17 AR-15s, and then I'm going to buy this tractor, and I'm going to throw it in the front yard and not use it. And then the grass is going to grow over the tire. No, that's funny to me because damn well those neighbors are pissed.
Oh, yeah.
Pissed.
Oh, they're bringing down the property value.
Yep. God damn, this is Newtown, not Putnam.
This ain't no Danielson.
Yeah, what the hell? Brother, we can take the train to New York City.
Yeah. Shout out to the quiet corner.
Yeah.
So, here's a question. Like, we've seen movies, we've seen whatever. Let me tell you, these flight attendants and these pilots, whoa, they can get down.
Dude, yeah, there's a whole
there's like a whole swapping.
Shout out to TikTok too because I found a flight student.
Flight student.
I found a flight attendant's TikTok page, and she would go into like the details of how like everybody sleeps around. They all just get hotel rooms together and all that stuff.
Yeah.
If you're a single pilot, man, you do pretty well.
Or married one, apparently.
Well, yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
But and the best part is these two people were in the heyday of flying. Helle and Richard, I mean, late 40s, early 50s, Pan Am. There was like the golden age of flying. That was when you had to be like
that was like
a size 0. They would measure you before your flights to get on to like, you know what I mean? Flying used to be crazy classy.
Well, apparently to the story, it was the heyday of flying and fucking. Yeah. So, I mean, hey.
Yep. And she's from Denmark.
Yeah.
Probably 6 feet, blonde eye. Probably a Pan Am dime.
I did pull up a picture of her. We'll obviously we'll post those pictures. But she was
good looker.
Yeah, she had it going.
And the whole CIA twist too. We over here at Criminal AF, we love a good CIA twist too.
A little CIA twist, a little conspiracy.
Yeah, because you never know what was going on here.
Yeah, and not only that, but combined they were making $125,000 a year, and this is back in 1975, 76,
75. Yeah, that's a lot of money back.
That's got to be like $500K now.
Yeah, with inflation, I would say probably. I think high fours.
High fours?
I'm actually doing the math, trying to do the math in my head. Yeah, I think it's high fours. High $400,000 a year. They're doing pretty well.
Yeah.
And this guy's got a tractor in his front yard. Come on, dude. You got to do better.
I'm going to buy this tractor. Why?
Yeah.
I don't need a fucking tractor.
Yeah,
I'm just going to put it in the front yard.
Yep.
Fuck the neighbors.
Fuck them. Fuck you, hoity-toities. And to top it all off, the best thing about this chapter is that homeboy became an auxiliary police officer.
Oh, yeah.
Bought his own Crown Vic, his own CB radio.
He set himself up for success.
Listen, Dave, there's nobody worse that I hate in this world.
Gonna pretend.
Then when you drive by a car, like a
and they got the little spotlight thing outside their window.
They buy an old police cruiser and then they throw CB radios around and drive around and just pretend to be. I hate it. I hate it. But he did become an actual police officer. So,
he did.
So we'll give him. I'll give him a pass.
He achieved his dream.
His dream
of becoming.
He fought in the war, flew jets, and then
part of CIA.
Part of the CIA, and then became a police officer.
Yeah, bought his own lights.
Southbury, Connecticut.
Yes, bought his own lights for his car. He's like, you guys don't even have to pay me. Yeah. I'll take care of it.
I'm doing this for fun.
Yeah. The other thing that stood out for me in this chapter is that Helle knew that Richard was already seeing somebody when they met. And Helle was like, you know what? Whatever. the 60s, it's
We're
70s.
young.
Yeah,
We're fine. We're having
it's
fun.
fine. It's fine. You know, then they ended up getting together. And then, lo and behold, Richard continues to fuck other women.
Like you didn't see that coming.
Right. I mean, you at one point, you were the other woman.
Yeah.
Then he became the woman, and now he's fucking other women. So...
I think if you've ever been the other woman, you should automatically always assume that there will be another woman.
There will be other women.
Yeah.
100%. If you start off a relationship and you are the other person or the one that's, oh, we just got separated and now, guess what?
He wanted to have a divorce.
Yeah. Yes, you will soon be finding yourself on the other side of the divorce table. All right, so we're going to jump into the next chapter, and this is where things start getting a little fishy when Helle gets back from one of her flights. On November 19th, the au pair, Dawn, was woken up at 6 a.m. by Richard. He told Dawn that Helle was driving to his sister's house, and they would all meet her there later. Dawn thought this was strange because there had been a horrible snowstorm that night, and visibility was awful. But Richard persisted because there was a power outage. They all drove over to Richard's sister's house. He dropped them off, and he left almost immediately. Helle was not there, and Richard did not come back to pick them up until 7 p.m. that night. Richard's stories on where Helle was were inconsistent. One reply was, I don't know. Another was that she was in Denmark with her sick mother. He even told one of his friends that Helle was in the Canary Islands with a best friend, Helen Dixon. There was no one consistent story. There were also pieces of carpet cut out and missing from Richard and Helle's bedroom. Richard said that he had spilled kerosene on the rug, and it needed to be replaced. Newtown police gave Richard a lie detector test because of their suspicions. He passed the test, but some detectives didn't believe the results and thought it was odd that a professional airline pilot liked to play cop and took jobs for cheap. The investigators also listened to Helle's friend's suspicions, and the testimony from Dawn Thomas cast doubts on Kraft's story. They called Richard back for an interview. On December 11th, investigators Lieutenant Michael DeJoseph and Detective Robert Tvardzik conducted an interview with Richard Crafts. Richard, did you know your wife hired a private investigator?
No.
Did you know that the PI has documented your relationship with a New Jersey woman?
No.
Why would your wife tell her friends she was afraid for herself regarding serving you divorce papers and to tell them to check on her if something happens?
I cannot imagine her saying this. It is completely out of character for her to say this.
On November 18th, when Helle came home, when and why did she leave?
Those answers are in my statement.
So what's the story with the bedroom rug? Apparently you removed it, or cut some pieces out of it. Can you explain this to me?
All the rugs in the house are being removed and replaced.
What was spilled on the rug in your bedroom?
Kerosene.
Did you cut pieces out of the rug?
Yes. 2 feet at a time. It's easier to remove it that way.
What did you do with the rug? You took it out of the bedroom?
Dumped bedroom rug in the Newtown landfill 1 week ago. It was blue in color.
Why have you been telling everyone different things about Helle being missing? Like her mother being sick?
I didn't want to say my wife was gone, and I didn't know where she was.
Has Helle received any mail since she's been missing?
No. She's got no letters since she left. She usually gets about 2 letters a week.
Crafts had an answer for everything. He was calm and cooperative, yet guarded. His apathetic demeanor made the investigators suspect him even more. He seemed robotic, and it was like he had rehearsed these answers beforehand. Something didn't sit right with them. When Keith Mayo, the private detective hired by Helle, learned that she was missing, he immediately suspected Richard. Mayo went above and beyond to try to prove his theory. He asked colleagues and friends what they had thought about his case, and they agreed that something didn't add up. They didn't understand why Richard had so many stories and why Helle was missing. The police didn't seem like they wanted Mayo's help, but Mayo wanted to solve this case, so he needed evidence to support his suspicions to present to the state police. Mayo decided that he wanted to try to find the pieces of the rug at the local dump. He believed the rug pieces would contain blood evidence. He spoke to the trash company who did the route that the Crafts lived on. He found out that these rug pieces were at a landfill in Canterbury, Connecticut, almost 2 hours away. With some help, he found a portion of a rug that was identical to the rug in Richard Craft's bedroom, and it had what looked to be human blood on it. The piece of rug was taken to the State Police Laboratory in Meriden, which was led by none other than the famous Dr. Henry Lee. You may know him from many true crime cases, but most notably from the O.J. Simpson case. Unfortunately, Dr. Lee did not find any blood on the carpet pieces. Even though the rug evidence didn't turn out how Mayo wanted it, he did bring attention to the case. The Danbury Times published the first story about the case where Newtown Police Chief Louis Marchese told reporters that it was a missing person case. But Keith Mayo spoke to the same reporter and told him that she did not disappear on her own accord. Pressure was building on the Newtown police, and they received tons of criticism, so the state attorney's office wanted it to be handed over to the state police. The Western District Major Crimes Unit began to investigate the case further. They found some interesting purchases and phone records. On November 13th, Richard bought a large-capacity Westinghouse freezer at an appliance store in Danbury. In the same billing period, he rented some type of machinery at Darien Rentals for $900. On Christmas Day, 1986, a search warrant was executed. For days and weeks leading up to the warrant, the police put together an 11-page affidavit listing dozens of supporting facts to back up their theory of Richard's guilt. His ever-changing story as to where Helle was one of the biggest reasons. On Christmas Day in 1986, police learned that Richard and his children were in Florida for the holidays. Dr. Lee agreed to be present and oversee the collection of evidence at the Craft residence. When they entered, the house was in complete disarray. Furniture was thrown all over the place, dirty clothes lay everywhere, dirty dishes and kitchen utensils were in the sink and all over the countertops. Mattresses were on the floor in the living room, along with boxes of belongings. They took all of Richard's guns, because any one of them could have been used to kill Helle. The investigators and Dr. Lee were there for days. Dr. Lee performed a luminol test in different locations of the Crafts house, and the tests were positive for the presence of blood. In the evidence collected, there were towels that had type O positive blood on them, which was Helle's blood type. But with all of this evidence, they still had no answer for where Helle's body was. That $900 machine rental that I spoke about earlier, that was confirmed to be a woodchipper. On November 19th, Richard rented and picked up the Bush Bandit woodchipper from Darien Rentals. With this knowledge, investigators were starting to put pieces, literally, together on where Helle's body could be. The detectives from the Major Crime Squad found a man named Joseph Hine, who was a utility worker from Southbury, Connecticut. Joseph told a story of witnessing a woodchipper and a U-Haul parked on the side of the road in the middle of the night. He pointed out to the exact spot where he saw the U-Haul and the woodchipper on the shore of Lake Zor. Detectives found piles of wood chips on the banks of the river. Along the pieces of the shredded items found, the detectives found a few pieces of mail, and on one of the envelopes, the detectives found the name of Helle Crafts. Within an hour, a search team was there looking for more hard evidence. They found more mail with Helle's name on them, the blonde hair, bone fragments, fabrics, plastic items, wood chips, and some unidentified material. The detectives went back to the machine rental place where Crafts rented the woodchipper. They secured the paperwork from Richard's Rentals, and it just so happens the exact woodchipper was there in the rear parking lot. The detectives had it towed to the State Police Forensics Lab where they could have it examined. The search at Lake Zor continued, and they had dive teams searching the waters near where the woodchipper and evidence had been found. The divers had found a chainsaw on the bottom of the river in the mud. The serial number had been filed off. Then they started finding hard evidence that Helle had been murdered. They found a piece of a human toe, a fragment of a finger, and part of a tooth. In total, they had found 2,660 strands of blonde hair. 69 slivers of human bone, 5 droplets of human blood, 2 teeth, a piece of a human skull, 3 ounces of human tissue, a portion of a human finger, 1 fingernail, and 1 portion of a toenail. Helle crafts had been found. So Richard is kind of like slicker than shit.
Yeah, for sure. That's why when they say we can't prove the fact that he was in the CIA, I don't know, man. He's got that vibe where like he could have been doing some shady shit.
Like he did a lie detector test. He passed it, and they're like, So they're like, all right, let's put the screws to this guy. You know, let's see what we can get from him. And fucking, they were trying to hammer him with fucking questions. He's just like, nope, yep, nope. I already said that. I already answered that question. Nope, yep. You know, you're like, fuck. We can't get this guy to fucking turn.
He knows how to answer a lie detector. Cool, calm, and collective.
Yep.
Dumped the bedroom in the landfill. Yep. Didn't want to say my wife was gone. Not giving him any information.
Yep. Cut it in 2-foot squares. Easier to take out. Go find it in the landfill. Been there for like 6 months. Good luck.
I don't know. There might be some, truth to this whole CIA thing to him, because this guy was stone cold in his lie detector.
Yeah.
You could tell he knew what he was doing. You know what I mean? He had no...
100%.
He didn't seem...
wasn't phased.
He wasn't phased, wasn't nervous. He was like, yeah, yep, 2-inch squares, yep. That's what they got, yep.
And he knew how to fail not fail. He knew how to pass.
And that's a skill you have to learn.
A lie detector, yeah. You have to be like zero emotion, zero like...
Coming from someone who failed the Connecticut State Police lie detector test?
Yeah.
I know. I know. And that's a true story, fans.
What question did you fail on?
Oh, whatever, about my past and stuff like that. But it's crazy. It's super intimidating because they bring you in this room and they're like detectives.
Yeah.
And it's like super somber, and then they try to like scare you. And they'll ask you the craziest questions ever, like just to fuck with you. And you're like,
did you ever touch little boys?
Yeah, like, did you find little boys attractive? And you're like, what? No. And then they'll, like, even though you know it's no, they'll be like, they'll look at the test and be like, and then you'll be like, wait, what the fuck? No, what?
Yeah,
like, they try to get in your head.
Right.
Now, the Connecticut State Police is really hard to get into. So, and, no, I lost on, like, have you ever been a hooligan questions?
Oh, yeah.
But, yeah, do you find your sister attractive? That was one of them.
Really?
I was like, no. They're like, whoa.
Liar.
And I'm like, wait, what?
Lies.
And then you, in your head, you're like, do I find my sister attractive? Like, you're like,
fuck.
Yeah.
Is she hot or not?
Yeah, they really fuck with your brain. But that's what they want to do. That's why they do that. So, lie detectors are, you have to be a stone cold to deceive a lie detector. Because if your heart rate's not up, then... you're a different breed.
So basically, the way I look at this is that at this point, being questioned by the police and everything, he thinks that he's committed the perfect murder.
Yeah, he thinks he's got it in the bag.
Yeah.
Which he almost did.
Up to this point, he does.
Yeah.
Right. Which brings up the question, what is the perfect murder? Like, how would you commit the perfect murder?
I know where you're going with this.
Yeah. Oh, actually, no, never mind. We'll talk about this in Random AF.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah.
That's going to be on Random AF, 100%.
100%.
How would you, I want to know.
I want to know how
you would commit a murder and how would you get away with it.
Oh, I already got it.
I know you already got it, trust me.
I've thought about this for a very long time. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm not joking, guys. When I tell you, if there starts to become there's missing people in Connecticut, we already know where to look, guys. All right, we already know where to go. I'm not joking about this.
I got to keep that mystique. You know what I mean? So.
And then we bring in Keith Mayo.
Yeah.
Who is basically like a... the way I think of Keith Mayo, I think is like his office is like a diner. And like he like invites you, you know what I mean? Like you call him up, you call his number.
He has the booth in the corner.
Yeah. You call him up, right? And like you call his number and then like, he's like...
Mel's Diner.
He's like, meet me at Mel's in 5 minutes. And then you hear the payphone clang. Like he's just like some shabby private detective. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I mean, he did. He tracked stuff down.
yeah.
She went all the way to Canterbury, so I'll give him credit. But it's just so funny to hear private investigator because I always think of like a sleazy used car salesman-esque.
Yeah.
Meet me at Mel's in 5. Cha-ching.
Cha-ching. He's got like steak sauce stain on his fucking dress shirt.
Like one of those oversized suits.
Yeah.
That doesn't fit him right from like a hand-me-down. We're gonna get to the bottom of this, man. I promise you.
I promise you.
But he did work his ass off, which is pretty impressive.
So the funny thing is that you brought up Canterbury. Like Canterbury is.
That's very close to home.
That's next door to the town that I grew up in.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you go straight up this road.
Oh yeah, it's Canterbury.
And you're in Canterbury.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It's right in our backyard.
We used to, where they're talking about the landfill in Canterbury, there's a river called the Quinnebog River. We used to raft.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's where you go tubing.
That's where you go tubing.
Listen, that's when
and it's the most disgusting fucking water you'll ever.
In the famous words of Dave Chappelle, when the Tiki Torch Whites want to go and hang out, they go tubing down the Quinnebog River in Connecticut. Right?
Yeah, dude, fucking kayaking. You got your tube, you got your kayak, you got fucking whatever. Going down the Quinnebog, you go through all the fucking sewage.
We weren't joking when we said we live in the redneck part of Connecticut.
Oh yeah. We kayak in fucking rivers filled with fucking sewage and slime, and behind a fucking trash landfill, where apparently
Helle's body was hanging out.
Helle's blood-stained carpet was hanging out. Yeah.
$900 for a
piece of machinery,
a wood chipper in 1986. That seems high. I feel like I could rent a wood chipper for cheaper.
Well,
today.
at this time they didn't know that it was a wood chipper. It was just a piece of machinery.
But I mean, obviously he spent $900.
Right.
So I feel like I could get a wood chipper for less.
Now in
today's
Well, look, dime a dozen.
Oh, we just make more wood chippers now?
Wood chipper.
Okay, all right. You know more than me. I don't know.
Well, I mean, you look at a VCR, like back in 1986, a VCR.
Okay, I see where you're going
now. It was like $500.
Yeah. The first game systems were like $1,000 or some crazy shit like that. Yeah. You had to be rich to have a computer.
Yeah.
The first like Apple computers that came out.
You want a
crazy.
DVD player, bro? That's like $2,500.
Woo! Now you can't even find them.
I know.
They're in landfills.
Obsolete. They're in landfills.
They're in landfills with the blood-soaked carpet.
Yep. So the thing that's like just blows my mind here is that he's in probably what would be today a multi-million-dollar house.
Oh, for sure.
And he's got his fucking redneck shit all out in the yard, lawn ornaments.
Yep.
You know, house in disarray, just mattresses on the floor, sink and cabinets, just fucking disgusting.
Bowls, dirty dishes.
Yeah.
Well, when you lose your wife.
Oh.
When, you know what I mean? The house just goes a mess.
In 1986, yes.
Yes, in 86?
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
God, there was no stay-at-home dads in 1986.
No,
Come on.
no, I got you.
That's all part of the time period.
I got you. That was Garrett.
No, don't blame that on me.
I got you, Garrett.
I'm just stating facts, okay? I'm an advocate for the.
How did they eat?
Those kids were miserable after their mom passed away. After their mom went missing. Like, Dad, can we not eat McDonald's tonight? For fucking Christ.
Oh my God, we're going to hell. That is hilarious, though. You know who probably didn't have a filthy house was this guy Joseph Hine.
No.
He was a utility worker, and he's the one. Nice little transition. He's the one that basically said that he witnessed Richard in the middle of the night, parked on the side of the road in a U-Haul with a wood chipper attached. And all the shreddings are dumping into the lake.
Shout out to all forensic divers. That job, I'm always impressed. Like, I mean, to recap in the story, 2,660 strands of blonde hair, 69 slivers of human bones, 5 droplets of human blood, 2 teeth, a piece of a human skull, 3 ounces of human tissue, a portion of a human finger, and 1 fingernail. The fact that divers can just go in that murky, because they never get dumped in crystal clear water. Those guys are sifting through milky, disgusting, murky, slimy rivers and underneath freeways and shit like that. That job must suck, to be honest with you.
Oh, 100%.
And it's amazing at what forensic divers can find when they do those dives. Because, I mean, right there, without the dive team, you don't have a body. So,
and that's why,
that's one of the most impressive jobs that I find. Like,
yeah. And that's why I said, like, in the beginning of the story, it's like, this is like probably one of the first forensic cases where everything was determined by a microscope, by DNA. DNA probably was in its infancy now, but it was like,
they had human chunks.
Yeah, they had like fragments of bone. They had a broken tooth. 3 ounces of human tissue. Like, what is that? You know what I mean? You have an entire body, and it comes down to 3 ounces.
It makes you realize
of human tissue.
How crazy a wood chipper is if I dump in a bot. Like,
yeah,
what a way to go out.
But luckily, she was found. So now the state of Connecticut can proceed with finding their killer in Chapter 4. Criminal AF will be back after this quick break. What's good, everybody? Nothing says I am one of the debauched like Criminal AF apparel and merchandise. Choose from multiple designs that fit your style and your attitude. For women, for men, around the home, or at the office. You can look great repping Criminal AF wherever you go and help support the podcast as well by visiting criminalafpodcast.com/shop or click on the link in the episode description.
Go get you some merch.
Yes, sir. On January 11th, an arrest warrant was issued in Newtown Court for Richard Crafts. At 9 p.m., several state troopers surrounded Crafts' home and called him on the phone. They demanded he come out and surrender. Crafts replied that he was tired and that he'd take care of it in the morning. Police insisted that he surrender. Finally, after hours of negotiating, Richard Crafts emerged from his home around 12:30 a.m. and surrendered. The trial was moved to New London, Connecticut due to the amount of publicity on the case. The media in Newtown had sensationalized the story, making it hard to find impartial jurors. Dr. Lee testified about the collection and analysis of thousands of pieces of evidence found in and around Lake Zor. Even though all of the pieces of evidence were small, Dr. Lee was able to determine that the pieces were cut with a heavy type cutting edge that produced a crushing and cutting force. All of the bone, human tissue, and hair were all mixed together with wood chips and vegetative debris. And most importantly, they were all cut with the same machine. The chainsaw found at the bottom of Lake Zor was one of the pieces of evidence that were the most damning. Forensic scientists were able to find remnants of human tissue, blonde hair, and a number of blue fibers in the teeth of the blade. The blue fibers matched the fibers in the blue rug in the Crafts' bedroom. Scientists were able to restore the serial number that had been scratched off and trace it back to Richard Crafts. The tooth fragment was what sealed Richard Crafts' fate. The analysis proved conclusively that Helle Crafts' remains were found at Lake Zor. One tiny fragment of tooth, with a piece of jawbone still attached, was the most major piece of evidence found in the case. The pathologist testified that the tooth was removed from the mouth with traumatic force that sheared it off and took the bone with it. There was a metal crown attached. The crown was painstakingly compared to Helle's dental records, and there was a medical absolute certainty that the crown belonged to Helle Crafts. On June 23rd, the jury took the case and started to go over evidence and testimony for 2 weeks to reach a verdict. One juror held out for a not guilty verdict. The others were frustrated with him, saying it was like dealing with a child, and this resulted in a mistrial being declared. On September 7th, 1989, a second trial opened. The trial was pretty much a copy of the first. The same witnesses, the same evidence, everything the same. When the case finally went to the jury on November 20th, they only took 8 hours to determine a guilty verdict. Crafts showed no emotion when the verdict was announced on November 21st, 1989, almost 3 years to the day when Helle was murdered. Richard Crafts received 99 years in state prison. This all goes to show things always come out in the open, and the truth is always found. Little tiny fragments of a human body were found in and around a large body of water, Nothing is ever as secret as you suspect. Nothing is ever hidden or made to disappear. The truth will always be found. Even a woodchipper cannot hide your crime. But people still try. And we still have stories to tell for podcasts and movies such as Fargo. And Criminal AF. So the gall of this guy, the police show up to his house and they're like, come outside now, blah, 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 you know, you're under arrest and everything. But the fucker said, I'm tired.
I'm tired.
I don't feel like coming out right now. Come back later.
Yeah.
You know? So this went on for like from 9 p.m. to 12:30 a.m. And he was just like getting pissed. He's like, bro, fucking nighttime.
I'm fucking sleeping.
Yeah, come back in the morning and fucking arrest me if you want to. All right, let's talk about this chainsaw that was found in the lake.
For sure.
So it's been sitting there for a minute, right?
Probably the most. I mean, obviously he chopped the body up first to get it in the chipper.
Right. So he chainsawed the body.
Yep.
Then chipped it in the wood chipper, and gave zero fucks while he did it.
Nah, you gotta be a special kind of crazy.
You gotta be a special kind of fucking douchebag.
Oh, that noise is probably.
And it like bogs down when it hits a bone.
You just gotta push through it.
Ugh.
I've cut a lot of trees in my day.
Yeah. So this chainsaw.
I don't know if I could cut a dead body.
Nah. So this chainsaw's been sitting in the water for a minute, and it's still got like human skin and tissue and whatnot.
It would be so hard to get away with a murder nowadays.
Oh, now, yeah, 100%, yeah.
With like the fact that they were able to get all this evidence off of chainsaws that have been sitting in the bottom of the fucking.
They got all this evidence because one guy said he saw some random guy with a fucking wood chipper by the lake.
Yeah. That's all it took.
That's all it took.
Yeah.
You know? And then they went there and they found minuscule pieces of stuff.
That would mean clearly human
Stuff.
The trial moving to New London, Connecticut, is actually fascinating to me because it's like it got too much publicity. But like I went to New London courthouse.
Yeah,
for sure. I mean, I don't know if you've ever been in there.
I know where it is.
Yeah, I had to go in for. I did jury duty there.
Yeah, me too.
No way.
Yes. Hashtag jury duty.
Hashtag jury duty. That's a good one. What's your way to get out of jury duty?
Plead guilty and pay a fine.
No, get out of jury duty.
Oh, we're actually talking about actual jury
duty?
duty?
Yes, I had to go to jury duty.
Oh, okay. I thought we were using jury duty as like a...
No.
Like another term
No. I went to Norwich court for that. I went to Norwich for that one.
So every single time that I've had jury duty, I've always got the call the night before. Don't attend.
Yeah.
Or you call in the number.
Yeah.
And they tell you whether...
I made it pretty far. I got to like the third, you know how like the first time they call you, you go in, you sign the paperwork, they do a little interview. I got past that, then they called me back, and then they got to the third stage where like they were picking the final jurors. So I almost got picked, and I was literally like, I don't know what to do. Like I don't want to do this.
For those of you, for those that don't know what Connecticut is like, so New London, even though it's considered a city, it's a metropolis, I guess you could say.
I would say it's a city.
It's a city. It's still on the eastern part of Connecticut.
Yes, for sure.
So, New London as a city is still looked down on by the other cities of Connecticut.
For sure.
You know what I mean?
Even us that live in Norwich.
Yeah.
Look down at, and that's saying
bougie,
something.
yeah.
And that's saying something. That we look down at New London like New London.
Yeah.
But there's some beautiful spots of New London. That's because it's a beach.
Yeah.
There's Ocean Ave and Shetucket and all. Like there's roads that will span the beach coastline. They're beautiful.
Yeah.
And then, but most of New London is just like multi-story, multi-family homes that have been turned into shitty apartments and then just scattered all over the place. It's
Shout out to New London.
Yeah, you know, there's some good food spots out there. Good food spots, good bars. Fun time down there. It wasn't until Dr. Lee's description of what a wood chipper does to a body. it put in perspective how brutal it is to throw a body in there too. Cut with a heavy type cutting edge that produces crushing and cutting force. Because in my mind, you throw a wood chipper, it just you don't realize that until it crushes and cuts. It doesn't. It's almost like one of those I guarantee you most of our fans have seen those crushing videos where they throw the things in the
it's got teeth and drags it down and it crushes it.
They put dumbass fucking eyes on it to make it look all friendly and stuff like that. You don't think so? The noise. Imagine the noise and the sound.
Yeah.
Oh, this guy's a savage, dude.
Yeah,
and it's his wife. He had to have some love for her at some point.
Right.
Oh man.
Yeah, because you think of some things when you hear pieces went through the wood chipper, blah, 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 and all you're thinking is just I've seen a wood chipper before, whatever.
Yeah. That's what I think of.
But then when you actually think of put it into context, it's this is a human arm going through a wood chipper. This is a leg going through a wood chipper.
Making like a jello noise.
Yeah, it's not a solid it's like a it's like yeah.
Make that noise again? Okay, good. All right.
I can do ASMR.
Body sounds going through a wood chipper. I mean, you would be the first of that category for sure.
I would be the first of the first. So basically what it all came down to is a piece of a tooth. The police, they found, obviously where the wood chipper was. They found pieces and human flesh and blonde hair and all sorts. And now, mind you, this is 1986, so DNA wasn't, prevalent like it is now. So even though you find hair samples or blood samples, you don't know exactly who it is. It could be, here's a possibility, it is this person. Can it be proven? No. But dental records was the DNA of that time. Yeah. So I find it amazing that they can take a fragment of a tooth that still had their crown attached and say, yes, this is her. You know what I mean? That's just mind-boggling.
I mean, they do it with mummies that they found. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So who's the fucker that held out in the first trial?
I don't know.
Who would you do? What would you do? Would you just be that one guy? You're nope.
Listen, I don't.
No, I'm not.
I don't want to say I would be, but I feel like my personality, I would be.
Yeah.
I'd be like, I don't know, guys.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know. I need to see more.
I'm not ready to go back to work yet.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna ride this out as long as I can.
Yeah, they're paying me
right.
to be here. It is nice to know that the jury was finally able to come to a conclusion with this guy,
right?
And sentence him for the murder of his wife.
Yep.
Because I hate to break it to everybody, but it happened. 99 years in state prison.
99 years.
Yep.
I wonder what happened.
Oh, the best part about this story.
What do you have, Garrett? Tell me.
Is that he only served 50 years
of the 99.
Of the 90, right?
Okay. Yep.
He got out in June of 2020 after serving only 50 years for good behavior, jailhouse jobs, and a slew of other things he did while he was in there. So he was a model inmate.
Model inmate.
So right now, Richard Crafts is out hanging out in a halfway house.
Still alive.
Yep.
Kicking.
And he got released to a halfway house in Bridgeport, Connecticut, and now he lives in a homeless shelter for veterans. So he made it out.
Okay. You murder your wife, chop her up with a chainsaw, and throw her pieces through a wood
As long
chipper.
as you are the #1 producer of license plates, you're gonna get that.
It goes far.
Yeah, it goes a lot. It goes pretty far.
Yes, very good work ethic. Jesus Christ.
So he is out right now, alive and kicking in a homeless shelter in Connecticut somewhere. Do you think he's gonna change his name too?
To
like Roller Prater?
Richard Rafts.
Richard Rafts. You know what else too? Just for a thought, I think about those kids that all swim at Lake Zora. They probably still all swim there.
Oh yeah.
After, you know what I mean? We're weird.
Yeah.
We're human beings are weird.
Could be another Jason Voorhees, Crystal Lake.
It's Lake Zora.
Lake Zora. All right, so that'll do it for this episode of Bodychipper. Before we go, if you like what you heard, go to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts, and leave us a review. And don't forget to become one of the debauched on Patreon. You can choose from any of the 5 tiers, and you can donate as little as $2 a month to help the podcast. For those of you who choose the $5 tier or higher, get everything, including scripts of every story, 5-Minute Murder, our Patreon-only bi-weekly podcast, Random AF, and our soon-to-be-released Patreon-only Dreadful AF, our collab with our friends at Spread the Dread Podcast. Just visit criminalafpodcast.com/support or click the link in episode description. Link to our socials, merchandise, and more are in episode description, or visit criminalafpodcast.com for all of your Criminal AF needs. Signing off from Studio Chloroform, keep your head on a swivel, and take care till next time. Now give me our theme music! See ya! Executive producers for this episode are Christine Rivera, Beth Davis, and Dusty J. Hicks. Associate producers are Paul Hodge, Noah Schultz, Brooke Morgan, Bethany Cooper, and Terry Burke-Wolin. Producers are Stephen Day, Trent Gobble, J.D. Driscoll, Devin Dean, Chantal Seislick, Jan O'Donnell, Jessica Lloyd, Lissa Perello, Jenny Crawford, Alicia Knight, Laura Shin, Maria Celine, and Beth Esselman.